Hello, I'm Fitz, and here I talk about what I get up to on a bike. So the channel's called Fitz on a Bike. Thanks for paying a visit, and if you like what you hear, you know the drill. Like the video, subscribe, and tell others about it as well. This video is the first in a series that I'm going to be putting out over the next 10 weeks. I'm going to be keeping a diary tracking my preparation for what is probably my biggest ever cycling adventure, going out with a group to Senegal in West Africa. So I'll keep a track of my training and some of the rides that I do, but I'll also talk about some of the other elements and features that are attached to the trip that we're making out there. The cycling is important, but there's a bigger social reason for going out there, and I'll say a bit more about that in this video. The trip as a whole is organised by Black Unity Bike Ride. Now in truth, BUBR deserves a whole video to itself, but suffice to say that it's an annual event, started in London but is quickly moving around the country. It's a movement participation, really getting black people involved in cycling in a way which makes it much more visible. And it's an international movement, so it's about connecting cycling communities across the world. So a powerful initiative. So we're going to be going out in May, and you can see details of the itinerary on the screen. Not every day is going to be sent cycling. We've got the first couple of days just to get acclimatized. And then on the third day, we'll start our riding, 140 kilometers, and then a shorter distance on the following day, then another rest day, then another journey of just over 100 kilometers, and then our longest ride going from Senegal into the Gambia before our final ride, a much shorter distance, and then we'll be returning back to Dakar and we'll be heading back home. So fantastic opportunity in and of itself, and just being out there and cycling out there will be a great thing to do. But there is even more to it, as I said earlier on. Everyone making the trip is committed to fundraising for the BUBR Foundation. The foundation's purpose is to support children, and particularly girls, to get through the education process. That matters not just because educating women is important in and of itself, it has a huge impact in the overall prosperity of the society as a whole. So alongside what we'll do as cyclists over there as well, part of our preparation will be to raise money to be able to donate directly to the work of the foundation. Work that puts what we do as cyclists into perspective, but absolutely worth supporting in its own right. And I really want to invite you to contribute anything that you can to supporting the work of the BUBR Foundation. There'll be a link below the video in the description, and as the saying goes, every little helps. So I really want to thank you for your contribution. Let's get into the first of my regular Road to Senegal updates. I'll be talking about the training that I've been doing and develop that into a wider conversation. Perhaps the first thing to say is that whilst I'm going to be focusing on my preparation for Senegal, this is really a development of the cycling that I've been doing in total over 10 years, but particularly over the last year or so. And just a word or two to say about that. This graphic on screen is taken from my Strava page, and what the main image in the center captures my mileage over the course of the last year. As I say, you can see the caption at the bottom, just over 4,200 miles that I've done. That's an average of 81 miles a week over the last 52 weeks. And then again, looking at the top of the graphic, you can see there the capture of my last 4 weeks, slightly lower than my yearly average, but still decent distance to be covering as well. So as I say, whilst I'm focused for particular reasons on preparing for Senegal, I'm also coming into it on the back of some useful activities. So just a useful bit of background there to what I'm going to be talking about over the next few weeks. Now, most of my recent riding has been on the Zwift platform. Again, if you're familiar, it's probably the most well-used online cycling platform. There are others available as well, but Zwift is a particular favourite of mine. And again, over the last year, it's something that I've incorporated into my weekly cycling routine. You can see on the graphic there, I'm on a 68-week streak. So that's 68 consecutive weeks that I've done at least one ride on Zwift. It so happens that this week marks the beginning of the Zwift Games campaign. It's part of a regular series of events in the same way as the offline world has a season with regular races like the Tour de France and Giro d'Italia. Zwift has its own calendar of activities as well. Zwift Games is probably the largest one, and it's a real opportunity for the global Zwift community to come together and to participate in racing. Now, I'm a big fan of Zwift racing, not because I win. In fact, rarely do I ever win. It's only if I'm in a large field, I tend to finish a fair way down. But it's a really good way of getting an intense workout. And if you have any kind of competitive spirit, it is a way in which you can start, if you participate on a regular basis, you can start to track your progress as well. So I'm a big advocate of that. And it's likely that you'll see, certainly over the next few weeks, whilst the Zwift Games is on, you'll see me featuring in a race at least once a week. And my run up towards Senegal. So my first ride of the week was at the KICKR. That was the first of the races in this year's Zwift Games calendar. This is me doing my thing. I actually did aim to capture the kind of the Zwift footage online, but on this occasion it didn't work out. I will have that in future commentaries that I provide on my weekly activities as well. This is me at the start of the ride, keeping up reasonably with the fast group, but as it happened, I started to move backwards in the field. I did have enough left for the customary sprint finish, however, and was able to finish in 16th place out of a field of 31. As I say, not at the podium by any stretch of the imagination, but for me it's not about a podium, it's about the workout that I get. So pleased with that result, and more to come as the Zwift Games develops. A couple of days later, back on the road again, the virtual road at least, and this time at one of the weekly No Limit Cycling Club's social rides as well. Big shout out to all the folks over at No Limit. Great club, doing some great work out there as well. And again, got a decent start here, up with the front runners for a short while, but started to slip back through the field and was only really using this as a warm-up. As I say, started to lose track with the leading group after a short while, but my intention here was again to use this more of as a kind of a keeping in trim ride, more of in the jargon a zone 2 ride. So I didn't finish this whole course, stayed with the course for a while and then jumped off and did a more leisurely ride at my own pace, again just to keep the run-ins going during the course of the week. Then this past weekend, another structured workout to do. One of the great things about Zwift, there are all sorts of structured activities that you could do again. Again, the intention here was to really build up endurance. Again, for those familiar, another Zone 2 ride. But one of the great things about Zwift is that it gives you an orderly structure to follow. I'm not seeking to race against anybody here. The intention is more about keeping a consistent pace. And as you can see, I also took the opportunity to get into some heat training. That's going to be one of the conditions that we're going to be riding in Senegal, so it's important to start this acclimatization process before actually getting out there. So a good opportunity to get a workout in over the course of the weekend. A grand total of 90 kilometers for the week. That converts to about 56 miles. I set myself a weekly goal of 80 kilometers or 50 miles on Zwift, so that's target accomplished and a little bit more besides as well. So a good start to my Road to Senegal campaign. That's all from my first Road to Senegal update. As I said earlier, it's a fantastic opportunity that I have, and as much as I'm making these videos to tell my own story, I'm also telling the story in the hope that it inspires some of you out there. I mean, if I in my 60s can be up and about and being on the bike on a regular basis, as much as I enjoy it, it's also perhaps an opportunity for somebody watching out there as well to think about what they can do to maintain their well-being and their health, even in this third quarter of life. Still plenty of life left in us, and cycling, I think, is a great way to help to prolong it. If you're interested in the work of Black Unity Bike Ride or the BUBR Foundation, I'll provide some links in the description. Do check that out. And as I say, once again, any contributions to the fundraising that we're doing for the BUBR Foundation will be more than welcome, and we really appreciate your support. And that is my first Road to Senegal update complete. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.